So now we have a painted guitar, but we have an obstacle. All of the holes that were pre-drilled in the guitar are still there, except they have been filled up with paint now, and we have to clean them out prior to assembly. Also, in my marvelous painting capabilities, I noticed I have a couple little spots where the paint pooled up and is sticking up, and I'm going to have to get rid of that. So I'm going to take a razor blade, and I'm just going to take it, and I'm going to cut it off. And I'm not too worried about the appearance on it, because this is where a guard is going to sit, and I'm never going to see it. But I want the thing to sit flat, so any place I have a little pool, I'm just going to slice it off. If that was an area that was exposed, that would require resanding and refinishing. But this is going to work fine. So now I have all of these holes, and I have to figure out what drill I want to use to clean them out. Now in your kit, there is a set of screws that came with it, and we also shipped you a set of stainless steel screws that are a better quality screw to use. So what I did was I took a digital vernier caliper, and I took the screws and I measured the outer diameter, and I measured the minor diameter, and I made a table of all of the different sizes and chose the drill size that would be useful for that size screw. Then I took those drill sizes, and just as a sanity check, I took an unfinished kit and just tested those drills in those different holes to make sure that they were going to be the right drills to use. Only the holes in the neck pocket of the body get drilled through. They come all the way through and out the other side because the screws go through the body into the neck to hold the neck on. So these are the only 4 that are drilled all the way through. The other ones, you're going to have to look at the length of the screw and put a mark on your drill as to how deep you want to go for that screw. And I'll just use a piece of masking tape wrapped around the drill to set my depth. So now I'm just going to go ahead and grab the drill and go ahead and drill out each of these different holes. We've got pick guard, we've got the machining screws that go along the back on the tuning machines. We have the screws that are going to hold the neck on, and this is a smaller diameter than the through hole on the body, and I've chosen a 5/32 drill for that, but I'm just going to go ahead and drill all of those holes. So I'm starting on the back where I have pick guards. That's these. These are short, stubby little screws, so I'm just going to put on a piece of tape about that deep. Find that little indent. And then that will sit on there very nicely. This has lots of holes. If you're not sure which one is the one you want, put your piece on. Okay, that's all of those. Then I'm switching over to the bridge screws. those are my bridge screws. Now these are the drill through on the neck cavity. And for that, I'm going to flip it over so I'm drilling the paint and then drilling down through. And on the neck, I have these 6 screws and these 4 screws. And on the neck, you really don't want to go through. You want to make sure you have enough depth for these screws because they're tiny little screws and you're going into hardwood. So you want to make sure you have enough depth, but you also don't want to drill all the way through a small piece of wood. So you can see that my drill is set so that it's not going to go all the way through. Okay, and my last ones to drill are very critical screws. These are the screws that are going into the neck. These are what are going to hold the neck onto the guitar. And I want to make sure that depth-wise, I don't go through. So I'm going to go that deep. I may end up just touching the wood of the fretboard on the back, but that's okay. It's not going to come through, and my screws will have something nice and clean to bite to. And this way I know my screws won't bottom out, which is a great way to break a screw by screwing it into a hole that's not deep enough. So there. Now I have cleaned out all of the holes that the screws are going into. I've made sure they're deep enough. I made sure they're the right size. One of the things you can do when you're looking at the screws that came with the kit and the screws that were supplied as stainless steel replacements, if you get them confused, you can always take a magnet. The steel screws will get picked up by the magnet. The stainless steel screws won't get picked up. You want to use the stainless screws. And then you move on to assembling your guitar.